Welcome, my friends, to the E-MTB review mid-powered bike shootout. Mid-powered bikes are these bikes that have less power, less weight, but bridge the gap between analog and full-powered e-mountain bikes. And we have some of the best of the best. I'll bring you through the lineup. We have a couple of bikes that are not here today, but we've tested quite a bit. And it's an exciting time because this is kind of phase 2 of that E-MTB revolution, where less might be more. Okay, I've been riding a lot of full-powered e-bikes, and I've have the privilege to do a lot of mid-powered as well, because I do a lot of analog cross-country as well. And these try to bridge the gap. You know, if you don't like that weight, if you don't like 50 pounds, how's 40 pounds sound? So we have a bunch of 40 pounders here, and it's really kind of phase 2 of mid-powered now. You know, 3-4 years ago was phase 1, where they were kind of experimenting, not a lot of power. But now we're kind of settling into what this genre is. Basically, you need about 50 Newton meters, about 300 to 450 watts of power, a smaller battery, but hopefully a modular battery as well with add-on batteries. So who we have representing today are really the cream of the crop. We have the Trek Fuel EXe, 40.5 pounds on that one. These are all 40 pounders basically. We have the latest S-Works Levo SL with a motor that has been pumped up to 50 Newton meters. We have the Shuttle SL, the first one with the Fatsuwa motor. 60 Newton meters is what they claim. This one's a 39 pounder as well, 40 pounds with pedals. And we have the Orbea Rise. That's an aluminum, but we've tested a lot of carbon versions as well. That one is an EP8 motor that has been fitted with a restrictor plate to get it to right at 60 Newton meters is what they say. And a couple more that should be on the end but are not here right now, they're on the field. One is the Cruz Heckler SL, sharing the same Fatsuwa motor, and also a transition relay. You know, that one that has a Fatsuwa motor but has many different configurations. So have fun with us and maybe learn a little bit on what this mid-powered segment has to offer. So instead of starting with the downhill performance right away, we're actually going to start with the uphill performance. Uphill, how much power does it have? Because that's the big question mark here, right? Will it have enough power? Will it have enough range? Will I be able to keep up with my buddies? And so the way we answer this question is with our power meter testing, and it is a very controlled test that I'm actually able to compare these bikes together. I'm able to say if that Trek Fuel EXe can keep up with the Shuttle SL, and by how many seconds? How long will your buddies be waiting? You know, what about the Levos? You know, how far will they be ahead of these bikes? I'm going to answer to you all these questions with a lot of my power meter testing data right here. The first bike on the test course is the Trek Fuel EXe. So let's listen to the motor. Pretty darn quiet indeed, with just a little whistle. We put this bike in turbo mode, of course, and we actually pumped up the setting because it was about 90%, and the result sets the mark at 7 minutes and 5 seconds. Respectable indeed. An analog bike with the same rider output climbs in about 16 minutes. Next bike to give it a shot is the transition relay with the Fatsuwa Ride 60 motor. Let's hear it. So pretty darn quiet indeed, and this thing is a torquey motor, and it climbed at a time of 6:54. Mind you, it had a little more speed when we push the turbo button several times, the momentary 10-second boost, but that was not really a fair assessment, so that doesn't count. Next bike is the Cruz Heckler SL, which uses the Fatsuwa Ride 60. Don't have the original footage, but the sound is just the same as the other bikes. And this one's built up a little more beefy, and the time is 6 minutes and 52 seconds. Next bike on the proving grounds is the Specialized Levo SL version 2 with 50 Newton meters of power and the same 320 watt-hours of battery. Listen to the motor. And it is a little louder than the Fatsuwa motors. The result is 6 minutes 51 seconds, which is about the same as the Fatsuwa bikes. And it's essential that the turbo mode be turned up to 100% because it comes shipped at about 80 or 90%, perhaps to conserve battery. Next bike in the lineup is the Shuttle SL with the Fatsuwa Ride 60 motor once again. Let's listen to it. So again, very quiet, and you can hear more the tires, the shifting, and the breathing of the rider. The time is quite fast at 6:18, much faster than the other Fatsuwa Ride 60 motors. Somehow you think it's tuned a little faster, but also the bike is light, 39 pounds, with carbon wheels and rotor cranks, so pretty surprising. The final and fastest bike in the course is the Orbea Rise. It has a deep-tuned Shimano EP8 motor, and it is quite fast, as the motor seems to have a very strong torque curve, hardly working, and the time is 5 minutes and 40 seconds. And just for comparison's sake, is a full-fat, full-powered e-bike of the RT Peak with a Shimano EP8. Let's hear the motor. So there it is with a time of 5:25. Not amazingly fast. This is one of the slower full-powered e-bikes, and it is about 52 pounds for this guy. Hope you enjoyed that test, as we will show you all the results here in this sheet, starting with the fastest to the slowest. This test was done several times, maybe 3 or 4 times each bike, until we could get our average rider output the same and get some consistent, repeatable results. And what's interesting is that top of the list is a full-powered e-bike, and then the bottom of the list is an analog, a 23-pound analog bike, Emtbr XC. So starting with the top, 525, and then the Orbea Rise, 540, quite fast. Shuttle SL, 618, surprisingly fast with the Fatsuwa Ride 60, and then the 2023 Levo SL, much faster than the old Levo, but you do have to pump up the turbo mode to 100%. Then the Cruz Heckler SL transition relay, and I would call these times about the same, 6:52 for all three of them. And then the Fuel EXe, 705, not the fastest, obviously. And the surprising thing is how much battery it used up. All these bikes started at 100%, and it used up 15. Some of them used 9. So it shows you the efficiency. From there, we're going to be able to calculate the range of these bikes if this pace was kept up. And finally, we have the Emtbr XC, an analog bike with the rider putting out the same 200 watts of power the whole time, and it's a lot longer, 16 minutes 43. So hopefully that gives you context onto the speed of these mid-powered e-bikes. All right. Okay, what do you think of that data, huh? Pretty cool. So that shows you how strong that Orbea Rise is. I think it's because it has a very flat torque curve, because they just put a restrictor plate on the peak torque. But it really shows the Fatsuwa Ride 60. This is kind of generation 2 of the mid-powered motor, and not only is it stealth in looks, it's very quiet, and it's quite strong. If the reliability holds up on these things, and if they fix some of these bugs, the Fatsuwa Ride 60 is going to be kind of the new mark in this genre. So the next thing I'll discuss is range. Range I'm able to do with my power meter testing as well, by not only exploring how fast it gets up the hill, but how much battery did it use? How much battery did it use compared to how big its fuel tank is? So let's go through a little bit of that data. And now we are going to give you some range data from our testing, our power meter testing. Obviously, there's so many variables when it comes to range, so it's very hard to compare, but this is our attempt. With everything being normalized, we put the bikes in full turbo, and the rider and the course are always the same and always putting out 200 watts of power. And the test course is 1 mile long, 500 feet of climbing. So the result is gonna determine how many feet of climbing can we do at this scenario. And that's on the the right column, climbing range in feet. So the biggest example is the Trek Fuel EXe. There's its power, 360 watt hour battery, bike weight 41, and the time is 7:05. And we're not going to use that here. The most important thing we're going to use is this: is 15% of the battery was used to climb 500 feet. So 500 divided by 15 equals 3,333 feet. So theoretically, that's what it can climb in this course. And the surprising thing is most of our results actually correlates. When we drain this battery, it's about 3,000 feet is what we get from this Trek Fuel EXe, even on trail mode. Next one is the Levo SL, about the same, 3,571 feet. And then now the Fatsuo Ride 60 crop, they all finish at about the same tally because they all use 9% of the battery. So we're saying 5,556 feet for all the Heckler relay and the Shuttle SL. The Orbea Rise, too, surprisingly, it used 9% of its battery as well. So that correlates to about the same footies. And finally, the Levo used 8%, so 6250. So this all correlates with our experience, and that gives you a kind of a basis of comparison. One thing for sure is the speed of these bikes is all different. That's very hard to normalize. The quicker the bike gets up the hill, the more disadvantage it is because the rider is not able to help out as long. But some really good data here. So this concludes part 1 of our shootout, which really covers the climbing, the range, the specs of these bikes. And part 2 will focus on the descending and also the personal, the little details, like is an extender available, how is the rattle, how is the noise, how is the fit and finish. So stay tuned for that. We will conclude with part 2 at the end of this week. And I hope you subscribe to this channel since we are going to have a lot of exciting content in 2024.